All right, we are on now section 5.2b, we'll call it. I'll even write it up here. Actually, I got to touch this first. All right, so it's section 5.2b. Now, Jonathan, I know you like the larger writing on this, but you'll have to move closer if you can't see it, because I like writing in the thinner. I like writing in the thinner writing better. All right, now you're gonna look at this stuff that we're doing. Like before, we did this, same base and exponent and solve for that. You're going to look at this. This is the exact same lesson. It's still section 5.2. All right, and you're going to look at what we're doing today and you think, what in the world does this have to do with what we were just finished doing? Well, in the long run, when you look back on it, you'll see a little bit of relationship. They probably, now if I was going to write the book, which I hope I never do write a math book, but if I was, I probably would make this another section. But it does seem kind of weird that this would be in a section like this. I know I did this in Algebra 2. I don't believe I did this in here. We didn't do anything about, I think we did talk, because we had to talk about credit cards. Remember that? But no life lessons on this thing. Remember we talked about interest? Didn't we do? Yeah, didn't we do that? Okay. But I think on those problems, it was just real straightforward, right? It was like A equals, you just plugged everything in. You didn't have to solve for anything. You didn't have to do any algebra and get anything by itself. All you had to do just plug stuff in, no big deal. Remember that? And we talked about compound interest. Remember that when it said it compounded monthly or biannually, or we did do that, correct? Remind me. Okay. I thought we did. So we're going to do this again, but we're going to do it with, we're going to turn it up a little notch, okay, here at the end. First part's actually pretty easy. You have, at least what we're talking about here, you have two types of interest. The first one they call simple interest. All right.
Can we hit a light?
And yeah, hit one light. There you go. All right, so simple interest, and it's a very simple equation. Oh, my I is terrible. But it's I equals P RT. Usually I write the R little. I don't know why. Okay? Yeah, that's easy. What does the I stand for? Interest. P? It's not percent. This was part of our thing. What is it? No, not price. This was in our other equation when we talked about this before. It's kind of a fancier word. It's not like a regular normal word. Well, the R is rate.
Oh, principal.
Principal, right. It's the principal. What does that mean? What is the principal? If like you're putting money in a bank or what's it? The principal is the interest rate?
No, it's like the set. Isn't it like the set amount?
Oh, yeah, like the percent by what you get.
It's the amount of money that you're putting in. It's not a percent. The P is not a percent, guys. The P is not a percent. The P is the amount of money you're going in. So, right, you go to the bank and you've got a suitcase full of money, right? And you say, here's my money. And the P is that money. That's the principal. That's how much money you're putting in the bank. Does that make sense? All right. And then rate and time, absolutely. Okay, time is, in these equations, is always in what? I mean, time could be seconds, it could be minutes, it could be days. What is it? Time is in months? Nope.
Per year.
It's in year. All right? No, this is not the compound interest. This is not the compound interest. Guys? The T is not, this is not a compound interest problem. This is just straightforward. The interest doesn't just accrue. It just basically once a year is all this is. Okay? So the T is the time, and it's in years. Everybody understand that? So if I said I'm going to put it in for 6 months, what would the T be? It wouldn't be 6. It would be what? Be 1/2 or 0.5 because it's half a year. This always represents how many years. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. All right, so that's simple interest. Now, what was the other kind of interest we talked about? Not like complicated interest. What would it be? Compound interest, okay? So that's what you use, compound interest. Now, interest could be good, could be bad. We've had that discussion before. Here I go, clicking on that dumb thing. Oh, wow, look at that crazy thing. All right, compound interest. So here it is, and I'm going to look at it just so I don't forget. Now, A is the amount of money that you're going to get after you put the money in. The I is the interest. That's just how much money you made on, after so many years. Okay, that's the I. It's not how much money you're going to have left over. All right, it's not like the principal plus the interest. It's just how much money. So you put in $1,000 at a certain rate. over a certain period of time. This is how much money you've made, all right, after that certain amount of time. Does not include the original principal, all right? That's just how much money you made. The A on this one is how much money you're going to have after it's all said and done, including the original amount that you put in. Okay, A is the amount of money that you're going to have after it goes in, all right? And I'll show you. So it's P for principal. That's how much money you actually put in the bank. And then they put a 1. That 1 there represents, we're not going to get into too many details, but the 1 represents, like if I put $1,000 in the bank and I get so much interest over so much time, let's say I got, what did I say, $1,000? Put in $1,000, let's say you have $75 in interest, okay? So what do you have? You have 1,000 what? Plus the 75. So you have $1,075. You didn't make $1,075, did you? You made $75, but at the end you had, do you understand? So the 1 is the amount of money that you put in originally plus all the interest that you're going to make. So it kind of takes in consideration the amount of money that you put in originally. All right, so it's R. Now, we got to talk about these letters right here. Did we use M before? It seemed, do we use M or N? I thought we used M, or N. N. But, well, I just put an N there, didn't I? I don't want to do that. What was the joke?
I think it was N.
All right, Justin, stop climbing out the window right now. You're going to get in trouble. All right.
I think it was N.
I think it was N, but it doesn't matter. This means the same thing. So let's do this. Let's go to a different color and let's highlight some things. You want to write this down so you remember what the stuff is. Now, this is A. What did we say it was?
Now we don't have to take notes.
The interest plus.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to sit through this again. Why don't you just take notes, and then you don't have to sit through it
When
again.
we study, we can just study, you just watch class.
P stands for, what did we say? Okay, I'm going to write this all down.
You gotta make sure when you talk, you move
The green thing? Oh. All right. So what is the R?
Rate.
That's the rate. That's a percentage, isn't it? Now, if we said 7%, what do you put into that equation? You don't put a 7 in. What do you put? 0.07. All right. Make sure you put it in as a decimal. Okay.
We're just trying to gain recognition throughout the YouTube community.
All right. If they could only see my face now on YouTube. All right, here we go. The T is time in what? It's time, but it's in years.
Years, always.
Okay. Now, what is the M? Now, this is compound interest. Okay. We're going to write it like this. We're going to say it's the number of times it's compounded yearly. All right, so let's go through this again. If I said, if you go to the bank and you put some money in, and they say, okay, we're going to compound the interest monthly, then what would this M represent if I said monthly?
12.
It would represent 12. Okay, what if you go to the bank, put the money in, and they say, okay, we're going to compound this thing daily. Every day it's going to compound, it's going to turn over 365 because there's 365 days in 1 year. You follow me? What if you go to the bank and you say, I want it compounded, or they're going to compound it yearly? Then what would the M represent? It would be 1. What if I put money in the bank and I say, okay, it's going to compound monthly, and I want it to stay in there for 5 years? Then the what? T would be which one?
5 years.
T would be 5, right, because it's number of years, and the M would be, compounded monthly, would be 12. Okay, so that goes here and here. At 6.5%, what would that R represent?
Radius.
Radius.
The rate.
It is the rate, yes. Justin, it's not the radius. Just a more. I heard your song. You know you have a country song out?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Every time I hear that.
I'm going on tour with Jonas Brothers.
All right, probably can't hear that. All right, so the R is the rate. We're running out of time. I can only go 10 minutes on this. Okay, so the T is the amount of time. You follow me on this? All right, so there's our interest. What we're going to do in a second after I stop this before 10 minutes is we're going to put an example up there and we're going to do this. We're not just going to solve for A because that's what we did earlier, okay, in another chapter. We're actually going to solve for other stuff in here, all right? But you can't wait. But you got to wait till the next YouTube video. All right, here we go.